Hi people, how you will be back to my YouTube channel. I'm Victoria, and in case you're new here and in case you're returning, thank you very much. Yes, today on Talks with Victoria, we are having a guest we are having a guest who has an inspiring story that she's going to share with us. But before she does so, a week ago we celebrated World AIDS Day, and yes, our guest is an advocate of HIV/AIDS, and she also happens to be having the virus with her, and she's going to tell us how she has found life and so many other things that we are going to learn from her story. You're welcome, my dear.
Thank you, Victoria. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Ruth Namutebi Elizabeth. I am 28 years of age. I am an HIV advocate. I also happen to be running an NGO for people living with HIV and AIDS. I am an architectural draftswoman, or you could call me an architect, or you could call me a technician. Some people usually call us engineers.
Yeah.
Then I'm also doing several other things. I'm volunteering with Reach Around Uganda as a peer educator, and I'm also a graduate of the mentorship class.
Madam Ruth, you're an HIV advocate. How did you become an HIV advocate? Why would you choose to advocate for HIV/AIDS and not anything else?
I chose to advocate for HIV and AIDS because I was born HIV positive. So I know the issues and the pain that comes along with it, the stigma that comes along with being HIV positive. So you definitely advocate for what you have a connection to.
Do you get to know that, you know what, I'm HIV positive?
I was the age of 13 or 14, that was in my senior one or two, I think. That was 2007. That's when the news was broken to me by my aunt. That's how I found out my status.
So when your auntie told you that, you know, you're HIV positive, what was your reaction?
I didn't react to it.
Okay, you're one in a million.
I didn't really understand it, so there was nothing to react about. Yes. I just figured I can live life properly if I just adhere to my medication properly. I don't have to. I never thought about death like everyone else does.
Yeah.
I just wondered whether I'll be able to bear children who are HIV negative. So,
Wow. You said your auntie told you the news, and you know you weren't even moved by the news when you're told, you know what, you're HIV positive. But how was life before you being told that, you know what, you're carrying the virus with you?
life before I was told was very sickly. I was always in and out of hospital for various issues, this and that.
Yeah.
But eventually all got well. When I started my ARVs, eventually I stabilized, so there was no more falling sick.
So when did your auntie discover that, you know, you're HIV positive? Had she known before telling you, or did she know during that period when she told you that, you know what, you're HIV positive?
So for a person who is born HIV positive, it's very obvious that your mother is the one who transferred the virus to you. That is like common sense for everyone. So
Yeah.
it means that my aunt was one of the people who watched my mom while she was still alive.
Yeah.
Took her to hospital, cared for her. So basically they knew what to expect.
Okay, so she basically knew, but she just took her time to tell you that, you know what, you're actually.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Your life been after knowing that, you know what, I'm having that virus and it's here to stay, it's not going anywhere?
Life is okay. Life was okay. It's just that, of course, as time goes on, you become depressed. Your brain basically is just playing with you.
Yeah.
And you keep thinking that maybe you'll never feel loved, you'll never feel wanted, you'll never find someone who will love you the way you are. But
Yeah.
of course, those are just mind games. Eventually, when you outgrow it and you accept your status, everything comes back to normal.
Okay. So the children you went with in secondary, you after knowing, did they get to know, or in the different schools that you went to, did they get to know, apart from the university, because of course, the university, we are living out this life, everyone is on their own, which is not with us, primary or secondary?
Yes, they found out one way or another because I was depressed at some point. I was feeling lonely, so I decided to disclose to a friend
Yeah.
who ended up telling everyone about my status, and it became news for everyone. So the entire school found out that I was HIV positive, and it was a very unbearable situation, very discomforting, but I managed to persevere through it.
How did it affect you in one way or the other that this person told the people, and your education didn't you said you got depressed and then told her, and then now you're here telling someone who you're trusting, and then they are telling everyone else out there. How was it after them telling, your friend telling everyone out there?
I started dodging classes deliberately because I was tired of the environment.
Yeah.
So I started dodging classes. There are days I would not go to school. Then there are days I would miss exams deliberately. And then there are days I would lie at home that I'm sick. And then I stay home because I had a sickly background, so they would not refuse me to stay home if I say I'm sick. Yeah, but eventually I realized that this was my life, and I was playing around with it, and I needed to get myself together. So I woke up and started reading.
Yeah. So when was that, when you woke up and you said that,
That
you know
was
what?
between senior 1, sorry, that was between senior 2 to senior 4.
You woke up and you're like, you know what? It is what it is, and this is what I want for my future. It's either I'm choosing to let myself go, or I'm choosing to walk beyond this. So at what point did you start taking ARVs?
I started taking ARVs in 2007. So today it's been 13 years, I think. Yeah.
And then you started taking ARVs 13, like you said, 13 years ago. So how has it been? And there are days you're like, I'm not going to take this medicine. I know of someone, a friend by the way, who did not, like, we grew up in the same environment, but they never disclosed their status. But the people in their family actually did disclose their status. And then along the way, they've always said she gets to a point, because she has been taking ARVs from day one, like from the time I knew her. But there gets a point when she doesn't want to take medicine. When she joined campus, she became another, I don't know what to say. Like, she was totally messed up at one point.
Yeah.
Though now she's back, but then she was messed up. She doesn't want to take the medicine. She doesn't want to do anything. Haven't you got to that point of saying, I don't want to take medicine?
Actually, even when you call, before coming here, I was at hospital picking my medication. And if you can allow me, I can even show it to you.
It is okay.
This is my medication.
Yeah.
For now. It has been changed today. When I went to hospital, the doctors decided that usually I take there are two bottles.
Yeah.
One has, you swallow one pill from one and then another pill from one. So today they changed them. They put me on this is a new drug. It has 4 in 1. So it's one tablet. So today I've been changed to this drug.
Yeah.
Now at some point, I stopped swallowing ARVs. It was hectic on me. I hated the side effects, like your eyes turn yellow. Like the drug I was on before they switched me to this one.
Yeah.
My eyes would turn yellow. Then sometimes they deprive you of sleep. Then sometimes they overdrain you. You can't like swallow on a hungry stomach. You have to eat really good before you swallow because the drug is strong. But they keep improving the drug. Because sometimes you refuse to swallow because you fear people are going to see you swallowing ARVs.
Yeah.
So you're like, so you fear to remove it, to swallow, and to hide it. But eventually, you realize that it's your life, and you come back to normal.
Yeah.
And you start swallowing it.
Are you the only person among your family? Do your other siblings are they also having the virus, or is only you?
Unfortunately, I'm the only one.
You're the only sibling to yourself.
But I think it makes my family proud of me and happy for the fact that they expected I would be down, give up on myself, be sad, but I'm just happy about myself.
At what point did you come out? Did you decide that I'm going to come out on social media and tell people out there that, you know what, I'm actually having the virus and it's okay to have it, and you can be normal and you can do the work that you do?
It's not like I just woke up one morning and decided, now I'm going to go public.
Yeah.
It started joking, by the way. I went to Kaponglu Memorial here in Chiguri and asked them to, to allow me, give me an opportunity to share my story with the students.
Yeah.
So me, all along, I didn't know that I had a powerful story that I could share it and the world changes. So when I did that one time of sharing, I told my aunt about it. She was so excited. Then she decided to schedule and they invite me for Rotary Club to also share my story. And then things just started working out on them on their own. My story appeared in New Vision. It appeared in several other articles here, there, in TV interviews. But it's not like I wanted that to go that way. But one of the reasons as to why I decided to come out was the fact that I was denied a scholarship based on my status, which I felt was not realistic.
Yeah.
Like, how can you tell me that academically your credentials are okay, and then you're like, but maybe because you're positive, we can't give you. So I felt that was a bit unfair. But then putting that aside, I had a friend of mine I have a friend of mine who turned HIV positive. But then when I returned from school, that is in Masindi, they broke the news to me that they had turned HIV positive, which I felt bad. I somehow blamed it on myself because I figured maybe I'm protecting her because I was around, but now he has contracted the virus because I was away, not protecting.
Yeah.
So I felt bad, and then I figured I need to do maybe one-on-one talks such that people can really listen that this thing is real.
Yeah.
Because I've even dated some gentlemen who are like, who you tell that you're HIV positive, and they're like, are you sure HIV is real? And you look
Oh
at
my
them,
God, yeah.
You look at them and you're like, Mavako planet chi. So,
I know.
Yes, and when you tell them let's go test, one time I had to leave one guy, to just let him go because it was frustrating me. He doesn't want to test. And I know he's playing around with multiple other people.
Yeah.
I just let it go. So there are people who don't believe that the virus is there. Even when they see us talking, even when I go to school sometimes, some kids are like, wow, you can't be looking like this and you're positive. Are you sure? Even when you show them the things, like, no, you can't be positive but you look like this. There is nothing that shows. Like, at least you look ugly, you be skinny, or you be how. They think us as someone who is HIV positive should be wow, But people who are HIV positive these days, they're saying what you can't explain to them.
Yeah.
Positive. All you have to do is just follow your medication, eat properly, and you look good.
Yeah. So how was your life after campus looking for jobs? Because when you go out to look for jobs after campus, some people want to know your status.
Not that I've heard of. I think there are specific companies like I had in National Water.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed to test for you to work at the plant.
Yeah.
Because I think they fear that you may contaminate the water. But I'm not sure how true that rumor is. However, I never had anyone ask me to test because my job is more like go to site, measure, design, print out, work, deliver. So there is nothing.
Even are you on where you're working from? Are you on insurance? Because sometimes, where I was working, for you to be on insurance, they tell you have they give you a form that you have to fill in, and when you fill in that insurance form, you have to put that I'm suffering from this and this, or I may have this and this.
I've never worked in a company where they offer medical insurance. Except I worked with National Water, but then I was very young. They had not given me. I did not fill in that form. So I think for them they don't capture personal details like those. But I think now also companies are very understanding. Really, you can't be asking a person those personal details. They are really good personal details. But I never got that challenge at all. Because my job is basically go to site. How are the two combined? Even when I think it came to insurance, I never got to sign up for insurance. Yes.
So generally, to you getting a job was easy. It's not like some people who have had telling us stories of, I failed to get a job because I'm HIV positive. When I said out my status, when they asked me and my status was, haven't you heard of such story?
I've had that story with housemates, house helps. Most of them, they were fired during lockdown. When that week when we were moving into lockdown, most of them called me telling me, Ruth, I told my boss that I wanted to go and get a refill, that I'm HIV positive. and they gave me transport and fired me. Some of them were just fired without even transport. So I am also trying to figure out a way how I can, get that issue out there to be recognized such that, they don't, not everyone wants to come out and declare, but for us who have declared publicly, we can help be their microphones.
Yeah. True, thank you. That is very nice, speaking out for people who cannot actually speak out for themselves, that, you know what, I'm not here to spread that disease, but I'm here. Sorry, I'm not here to spread the virus, but I'm here. I can be with you despite. I think maybe such people fear because we've had stories. There's a story I heard of a maid who was, getting blood and putting it in a here over the children's eats and stuff like that, and then the children were positive, and then the father and the mother were not. Have you ever heard of that story?
I've not heard of that story in particular, but I have heard of scenarios where housemaids infect the children at home.
Yes.
Through sexual intercourse. So, I find it very funny because really, if you have children at home, you need to instill some values in them. By the time you unzip your pants and sleep with a housemaid whose status you don't know, those ones I've had, and those ones are on the rise meanwhile. So I've heard of several cases where the boss gets to find out that the son has been sleeping with a housemaid, infected them. Really sad. Those ones I've had, but that one in particular where they contaminate the food, I've not had. But then again, it's a really weird thing to do. It's weird to deal with it, because if you say that now let's begin testing all households before they get a job, that means they'll be out of jobs.
True.
Because believe me, the largest percentage of people living with HIV is on the rise literally every day. Every single day, which makes the population of Uganda maybe like 3/3 of the population of Uganda is probably infected, and the highest the youth and the teenagers who are not sexually guided.
So how can they be sexually guided?
How
Before actually you answer that, most of the youth or the teenagers out there want to test the waters. Is that what I should call them? They want to try out things before. They want to try kangeze. Say, let me try this and see how it goes. And then they end up in such messes. And even if they have been told, like you say, some people have been told that, abstain, do this, don't do this, don't go. But they, the guy you say that I'm positive, and they do not believe, they'll still go out and sleep with other people. What can these teenagers be told in order for them? How can someone really instill it in them that, there's the virus, do this and this to protect yourself from getting it?
So let me remind
or to limit the rise of the virus.
We do awarenesses, but I feel like they're also not enough. We need to do more than just awareness. Remember that time where, I don't know who brought up the issue, but it was more of like a parliament issue where they wanted to bring sex education into schools.
Yes.
Now, let me break that down for you. It was not like as in sex education, teaching children how to have sex, but rather teaching them how to engage in protected sex. For me, I believe as a peer educator that you would rather have several children or young adults who are sexually active, but they are using protective means, rather than have a high population of sexually active teenagers who are not using protection. They are going to contract pregnancies and HIV. So I don't know if you get the difference. So what actually Reach a Hand Uganda is trying to do, and several other organizations out there that I may not be able to mention, they're trying to advocate for the national school policy to be passed. What's the national school policy? I think you've seen the advert on TV. The national school policies entails use of protection while having sex. Like, you'd rather teach your child how to have protected sex rather than keep quiet about it and they engage in sex and contract HIV or pregnancy. So we are trying to avoid two things, to decrease the rate of HIV and also decrease the rate of teenage pregnancies. So we're trying to do that such that we are allowed to go to schools and talk more about it, the means of protective sex, and also to talk about and also to keep doing the awarenesses.
So, but some parents will come out and say that their children are taught sex at a young age, and they think that with such they think that when such lessons, when peer educators go to schools and tell their children about sex, some children will just be, they will just go in and give into sex because you know what? Yes, I can use protection and it is okay, I'll not get the virus. They'll just recklessly go out and sleep with anyone they find.
Let me tell you one thing that I always tell parents. As much as they look at their children as children and they are young, those children know things, they have done things.
You're right.
Me, they tell me.
Yeah.
I talk to them. You find a senior one who is going to tell you that she's sexually active and she's on what? Family planning. Senior one, you can imagine. Me, Ruth, I became sexually active in my senior sex vacation. That's how long it took me to become sexually active. Not because that I was naive or I didn't know what to do, but I had made up my mind that I would never have sex when I'm still in school.
Yeah.
It would be after I'm done with school. And I fulfilled it. Now, parents look at their children and why she's a Virgin Mary, she's young, very innocent, but they are exposed. They are extremely exposed.
Yeah.
There is a very young child who came in my inbox and told me the truth. I terminated a pregnancy in April, but until now I'm bleeding. She's staying with her parents and none of them know. But she's confiding in Ruth because she saw me talk about problems that normal people face. Yeah. And she believes she can confide in me. Some of them take my number not because they don't have parents to talk to, but because they feel they can trust me. I'm not going to talk to their parents. The problem with parents is we are quick to judge.
True.
Oh man, atandise okutambula n'abalenzi. Oh man, kati yagize gundi. Oh man, kati yameze baby. Instead of creating a connection with them, and you listen to them rather than judge them. I think the other issue with parents is twagala okulaga muffe tuli perfect.
Neera, obviously.
Kati muweefula nti nno gw'oli perfect. You got married and then started to have sex. Just because you are not caught, my dear, does not take away the fact that you did it.
Yeah.
So the problem with parents is they want to paint a perfect picture for their children. That for me, I was a virgin when I got married.
True.
I never had sex. Tell them that truth so that they know that no sex are done by humans.
Yeah. Tell
them that you did this but you regret it. Because for me when I go to schools, I tell them yes, I dated this gentleman in high school, but there's one thing I regret. It is dating him at that point because we were really young and we shouldn't have engaged into what? We shouldn't have engaged into a relationship. Even if we abstained. Yeah. I regret that I had a relationship in high school because it distracted me academically. But I was at twagala painting a perfect picture.
Obviously.
Ate ne tudde waka ne twekambwaza instead of connecting with our own children. And for you think you're hiding things from them. Abaana ati kati mubagulira smartphone. Banaakola ki? Naagugolinga kino. Buli kimu akimanyi.
And eventually kyebagugolinga they want to put in action.
Of course.
They don't just want, they actually put in action what they
say. If we can have more, because me what pisses me off the most is the fact that we have several TV shows where they host people like people to abuse each other. Nebalaga olinga akuma munne gundi nawe mula munne and they follow up the story ne bagenda ne gwe n'olyo gwe yavumye ne bamubuuza gundi yakuvumye bino. Oba obudde bwe bamala ku mpewo nga bavumangana senga babuteekawo for peer educators to educate the youth. Because it has been proven that peer educators are most likely to bring that change because baba batulaba nti tuli baana bato tubenkanankana, we have the same experience. Difference is that we've been educated so we can educate them. So if we can have more peer educators out there reaching out to the public, the youth, abaana abansinkana abankubira amasimu senga balina abantu bangi nnyo bwe bakubira, would make a change.
So as you've had it, we need more peer educators. Ruth, at what point did you decide that even if I have the virus, I can go on with life, I can date, Are you dating? Are you thinking of getting married one day?
So I knew that dating wouldn't be a problem because I was not ready to be sexually active. That was in my second. So even when I had a relationship going on in my senior 5 and 6, we were abstaining. But then when I actually left school, I took a while before I could date. It took I think about 2 years without dating. And then eventually I started dating, but of course not everyone you meet you tell them your status.
Why? Why wouldn't you tell everyone your status? Don't you think that is dangerous? And you're always blamed. I always hear people say, why don't you tell people your status so that they know if they are ready to go into the relationship or if they are not ready to go into that
Those
relationship.
people who you tell your status sometimes, they when you tell them, you end up digging a grave for yourself. Again, now imagine you're in high school, you're at campus.
Yeah.
The person who wants to date you is your classmate.
Yeah.
You sit in the same class. You see I'm HIV positive. Again, oh, okay, it's okay, we're not going to date, move on, but months later you hear people talking about you. Do you know how very discomforting that can be?
Indeed it is.
So you would rather keep quiet and not tell someone HIV status, but make sure that you have protected sex.
Yeah.
If not, you would rather keep quiet and not tell them and not also engage in the sex. Start abstaining.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel that, of course, telling the person is the best thing. The problem is trust. You can't trust that the person you're going to tell will not tell on you. That is the problem. Omuntu ojja kumugamba ate agenda akulaalasa ate ng'omugambye mutaasa ate ye akulaga omutima omubi by telling everyone else your status. That's why you find we have so many relationships where one individual is positive, the other is negative, and the one who is positive is not willing to tell you. You even end up, I have so many cases. I can give an example. I know women who have been in their marriage for about 10 years. They have 5 kids with the husband. The husband is HIV negative. The wife is positive, but she has never swallowed any medication. But they have 5 children in that marriage.
How do they do it?
But the husband doesn't know. They are there. So it's an issue of trust. Of seeing a particular picture. Leave alone me who is an open book. But I am that person who does not care. Like, I am at a point in my life where I'm living fully, not a day short, not a day more. I'm living fully, like I do not care what anyone else has to say about me.
Yeah.
And of course, yes, I dream of being married one day. I dream of having children. It's just that I've not met, should I say, that person I feel compatible with.
So, to those women you talked about who have 5 children and they don't even take medicine, how do they survive? Are they the discordant couples you hear about, or?
The difference is, oli abeera mufumbo ng'omwami tamubulidde status ye. Ate ng'omukyala yamanyi nti mulwadde, omwami tamanyi oba mulwadde naye tamubuuliranga. Now, that I can't say is a discordant couple because none of them knows each other's what?
Status, yeah.
But a discordant couple is where fembi tutegedde statuses zaffe, omu ali positive, omulala ali negative. And we are okay being together. And by the way, when I tell people that I've never dated anyone who is HIV positive, they get shocked.
Yeah.
They get shocked, and all of them knew my status, except maybe for one gentleman I didn't tell because I knew that relationship was going to become a sales shoot, a selling shoot. So, but I always try to disclose depending on where we are going to go. And now that I publicly disclose, there are people who know. Agenda okujja ng'akimanyi nti Namutebi ali positive. So there is no news. The issue is, are they willing to handle the stigma that will come with them being known, being seen with me? Because they will never be there. So, but those women who are like that, why not this? I don't know, it's bad because for them they think this is what they usually tell you. I think just my dear, HIV is a silent killer.
Yeah.
Osobola obeera nakawuka for 10 years naye nga tofunako reaction nejo newayita time netuuka nga omubiri gwe tegukyasobola kutoleratinga the illness ntandika okubreakinga down mpola bawulira nti no yalwadde bubi nnyo suddenly wayise omwezi gumu naafa. Eddagala singa litandika mangu omubiri gwandimuwaniza naye kati akawuka kali kuli omubiri gwolowooza bwekoza omirira olabika bulungi olya bulungi nti nno ekyo tekikikuuma ng'oli mulamu. Eddagala liriwo okuweweeza gundi kawuka naddika suppressing such that kitekakwononera system yo. So if you're not following medication, then it means you can't survive death.
So I've also heard of stories of like at one point the medicine may be too much for you. Is it fair?
Those are hearsay.
Those are myths. It's not true.
Let me tell you, nga bw'owulira nti nno covid nga yakajja abantu bagamba mbu bwonywa kino ojja
Yeah.
kuwomera kusimanya kwinini okola kibi buli kimu abantu bakigeza kutatukani
Yeah.
kati nabo butayagala kulira ddagala era beekweka mu rumors
Yes.
yase mbu ate I heard mbu ddagala likumakinga infertile. Those questions are still on the rise.
Yeah.
But I hear if you swallow the medicine, simanya it makes your skin look how. Simanya why it does this to you. Is it true mbu ddagala simanya likola biki? It is hearsay rumor. There is nothing has been proven like that. I mean, me have been swallowing the medicine for 13 years.
Yeah.
I know people who have been on the medication for about 15 years. And they are okay.
Yeah.
China will another medicine does not have any side effects. Ababyogera bekwasa just tebagala kunywa ddagala. Nina bemanyi abampoza musimanya it makes you an infertile n'alivaako kwekwasa. So londako bibiri okubeera infertile n'okubeera omulamu londako kino.
Yes.
Kuba an infertile person asobola okugenda n'adopting naye omulamu tegwadopti.
Obvious.
So olina okusalawo.
So, sorry, I've had you at one point depressed, which was brought about by you, not people. I've not heard about stigmatization anywhere. Were you once stigmatized by people, or it was just self-stigma that people got to know when they got to know when you're in secondary school? Was it on both like self-stigma and then stigma from people? How was it?
Of course, even the self-stigma is there because self-stigma is, I would say, would also fall under lack of self-esteem.
Yeah.
You underestimate yourself, you
True.
look down on yourself, you feel you're not good enough. Believe me, I've been through all those phases. To get to this point, it has not been easy. So you
Yeah.
get to a point where you feel like you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're less, everyone else is more, you feel less beautiful. And then if you also find someone, you end up dating someone who, cannot motivate you, or you have friends who don't add value to you,
Yeah.
it becomes worse. That combination becomes worse. But of course, yes, I faced a lot of stigma. But of course, the stigma while you're going through it, it comes along with the depression. You're depressed, you feel bad, you feel sad, you feel unhappy. Yeah.
Okay. So how were you able to handle that stigma, that self-inflicted stigma?
It's a step-by-step journey. You don't just wake up one morning and snap out of it.
Yeah.
It's a process. Because you see what happens is there are steps, there are phases of grieving. So first you have your fact that you're living in denial.
Yeah.
You don't believe that you're HIV positive. Then there are those other stages in between there that I may have forgotten.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, you progress from one stage to another, from being in denial, from being depressed, from then until you get to the last stage, which is where I am, called acceptance.
Yeah.
Like you've accepted that nothing is going to change, this is who you are, so you live up to it, and you just be you.
Yeah. So what do you tell to someone out there who is actually having the virus? They have self-stigma and they are also stigmatized by the society that is around them.
You need to know that there's nothing in life that happens without a reason.
Yeah.
And some of the worst things that happen in our lives are meant to groom us into being strong people. They are meant to help us to grow into better people.
Yeah.
So whatever pain you're going through, you're being stigmatized, learn from it.
Yeah.
Just take it on and learn from it. Do not hate yourself because people are stigmatizing you.
Yeah.
Use that pain you're going through to better yourself, to be good, to be better than you are.
Yeah.
Basically, just learn from the pain you're going through and use it to help yourself succeed and get where you want to get.
Okay. And then what do you tell to someone out there whose status people know, or who has disclosed their status and they are being isolated by family, by friends? How do such people handle? How can they handle such?
I even have no idea how each person is managing, especially if family is involved.
Yeah.
But I've not heard of, maybe to say from my personal experience,
Yeah.
when I disclosed some of the challenges I faced was OBs and OBs who came out to, throw shade at me. Some of them saying things like, we never stigmatized you, we never
Yeah.
did anything. How come you didn't speak out? You're a very
Yeah.
outspoken person. How come you didn't tell people you were being stigmatized? And then you wonder, by the fact that I could not talk about my HIV status, what makes you think I would come out to tell people I'm being stigmatized?
Yeah.
So some people don't use common sense before they speak. That's one of the things I've noticed. And then also maybe for the fact that sometimes when I even post just a mere photo on social media when I'm with the opposite sex, it raises attention. Everyone else will go into that person's inbox when they see funny. Naye bamugambe, how are you? Do you know that girl? Are you really sure you know her? You better stay away from her. People are very funny,
so
and then they forget that whether we like it or not, with all the families we have in Uganda, there has to be one, in every family there is one individual who is living with the virus. So imagine a situation where whatever you're doing to me is being done to that person in your family.
Sure.
And then you maybe wake up and come back to your senses. But yes, there are some men, they come to ask us out not because they really want to date us, but they think why you're desperate, or because you've disclosed your status, you're desperate, you want a relationship. Ati buli omu n'atalina mpale gy'asobola kwegulira oba sente zegulira mpale naye najja mu inbox y'ombu n'akukwana. So they think bw'oba disclosing your status nti it's a cry for help, or really desperate, you want to be loved. My dear, just because we don't expose the people we are dating for the world to know doesn't mean we are desperate for a relationship. And then also some people will just come into your life and they'll just want to take advantage of you. And the world has their own way of reasoning, but I think you need to stick to the goal of the reason as to which would be the reason as to why you started the activism. And once you figure that out, stay on board.
Start becoming actively involved and in this advocacy work, like
that was last year in May. That's when I began. So it has been more than a year. It's coming to, I think, my third year. Next year in May it will be my third year. But I started last year in May.
Wow.
And it's been a great journey. It's been an extreme opening eye for me.
Okay. And what would you tell to someone who is having a virus out there?
I think it goes back to what I already said, that you need to embrace the pain you're going through, because it's a process. First you go through that pain, whether you want it or not. Then after that you realize that you just need to take care of yourself. If you need to keep swallowing your medication, you need to take care of yourself. That way you do not spread the virus to someone else who doesn't have it. And then you also need to eat well. And then also people who are living with HIV, it's not a must that you should disclose. Because I hear usually people saying on social media, HIV positive. Like as if there is a rule in Uganda that says everyone who is HIV positive, I know cheating back mutwe tulyoke tumanyi. Ng'omanyi ogenda kola ki, ogenda kamponya, kwegamba mubeeramu ababogera ebigambo nga they have not put themselves in that position.
And because I think they've not gone through it, so they'll never know how it actually feels to.
And they think Mboba HIV is contracted from any sexual intercourse. Maybe even a dentist can give you HIV.
True.
God forbid you may go to hospital and they use an injection already used on someone.
True.
To take it. It could be a nail cut, it could be a car accident, and then there is blood exchange. So people, Mboba soka close and malaya, she slept with this one. Because even me at campus, just the mere fact that I was moving, I had so many opposite sex friends. For them, automatically, she's sleeping with all of them. Like, for them, that is their psychology. You're moving with an opposite sex, you're sleeping with them. So, of course, most of my male friends, they're usually questioned. Are you sure you're not dating that girl? Are you sure? And they keep telling me. I find it very stupid. For those people who do it, I think, I hate to say this, but learn to mind your business.
And so what would you tell to the youth out there, or first
when you're sent to school to study, not to engage in sexual activity. You see students who are sent to school and then the first thing they worry about is the uniform is too big, I need to get it fitted, such that the bum is out there properly visible and the boobs are also very visible. That is how you attract people who are going to give you the virus without even paying for it. My dear, that border man who keeps calling you, dropping the Zara, you need to ask yourself that. So I think let us worry about your health, worry about your parents. They send you to school to study, to mingle with men.
Yeah.
I fear so many cases of high school kids who are dating campuses. Or who are dating a campus, and it's knowing that the only reason this campus is dating you is because you don't ask anything from them.
Obviously.
Alaba ngo campus muzibu kubanga amusaba kino amusaba kiri iPhone sente za iPhone tazirina kati najja ewuwo gwe gwagenda ogulira okuwaayo just enfuna ettaano gulire kakwenca omubikulira amagulu. That is how you contract what? HIV.
So apart from advocacy, what other things do you do for your life or in your life?
I am passionate about farming.
Yeah.
I am also passionate about real estate and several other things related to real estate. I'm also passionate about architecture work.
Yeah.
I do some tailoring as well on the side. So basically those are the things right now that I'm doing.
I heard you said you have an NGO.
Oh yes, I also run an organization.
What is it all about?
Daria Kaitesi Safe Space. You can look it up on all social media platforms. It is about people living with HIV and AIDS. We are in the early stages, so tuchetereza bulungi such that we can start our activities. But currently we are doing small activities by reaching out people in communities. And I'm running an NGO.
All right, that was it from Ruth Namutebi. She's, as you've heard, she's an advocate of HIV/AIDS, and she runs so many other things like you've heard. And yes, she has shared her story with us, a very beautiful story, and she's talked to all of us, whether you're positive, whether you're negative. She has talked to all of us. And yes, in part of this year's celebrations of World AIDS Day, they talked about zeroizing HIV/AIDS by 2030, and it's upon me and you to make sure that we are part of this and we help out with stopping the spread of that disease. Yes, do the necessary, abstain, you either abstain or you use protection, and yes, make sure that you do not go on spreading the disease for the wrong reasons, because some people do that. They go ahead and spread that disease. But if you keep yourself and you don't go on spreading that disease, trust me, by 2030 HIV will be out of this world. That has been Talks with Victoria, with me, Victoria Nanuzi. See you next time. Ciao.